Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to this faculty seminar on adding tech variety in authentic e-learning experiences. This is the fourth webinar of the series of monthly faculty seminars organized at the Faculty of Education, the Open Institute of Sri Lanka, in relation to its CPD program, Authentic Teaching, Learning and Assessment Strategies for ODL, Atlas for ODL. And on behalf of the Faculty of Education, I'm very happy to welcome all of you today. I would like to warmly welcome Professor Curtis J. Bonk, who has very kindly agreed to conduct today's webinar. It's my great pleasure to introduce him to you. Dr. Kurt Bonk is a professor of Instructional Systems Technology in the School of Education at Indiana University, USA, where he teaches psychology and technology courses. He is also adjunct in the School of Informatics. He studied education psychology and education technology at the University of Wisconsin and obtained his master's and PhD degrees. Drawing on his background as a corporate controller, accountant, educational psychologist, and instructional technologist, Dr. Bonk offers unique insights into the intersection of business, education, psychology, and technology. From 2012 to 2018, he has been annually named by Education Next and listed in Education Week among the top contributors to the public debate about education from more than 20,000 university-based academics. Dr. Bonk has received several awards for his performances in relation to Most Outstanding Achievement in Distance Learning, Most Innovative Teaching in Distance Education, Outstanding Practitioner in Distance Education, and Outstanding Research Achievement in Online Education, to name a few. In 2020, he was presented with the IU's President's Award for Excellence in Teaching and Learning Technology. Being a prolific writer, he has over 300 publications to his credit. Kurt has also published a dozen widely used learning technology books, including his groundbreaking 2020 volume with Routledge, MOOCs and Open Education in the Global South, as well as The World is Open, Empowering Online Learning, The Handbook of Blended Learning, Electronic Collaborators, Adding Some Tech Variety, which is free as an ebook and based on which he will be making his presentation today. Kurt has given 303 keynotes and more than 1,700 invited talks. And I believe this is the 1,757th one to be exact. His research focuses on emerging learning technologies, online and blended learning, MOOCs and open education, and the global impacts from collaborative technology. Upon our request, he wrote an encouraging foreword to our OER publication, Pathways to OER, released this year, and has very kindly agreed to participate in the webinar we are organizing around it as well. Once again, I'm very grateful to Dr. Kurt Bonk for accepting our request and to share his inspiring thoughts with us today on adding tech variety in authentic e-learning experiences. I'm sure this will be a very interactive and an interesting session for all of us. Kurt, may I now kindly invite you to commence the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the introduction, Sharonika. We all need variety. All need it all the time. And so in this session, I'm going to go through how you can use adding tech variety in your own classes. I'll give you some examples. I'll give you some ideas. Perhaps along the way, you'll come up with one or two things that you can use in your instruction. That's all. You don't need to do everything. You don't need to memorize the entire book. If you just get one idea that you can thoughtfully, you have to do thoughtful integration into your classroom, that will be enough. Don't get stressed out if you don't know all the different technologies I'll be presenting on, or want to even know them. Don't get too stressed out about whether or not the content will fit your area, your discipline, your subject matter area. Because we have provided in this book, and I have a co-author, Elaine Coe from University of Waikato in New Zealand. Her and I have provided a plethora of ideas that you can use to integrate technology and to help motivate and retain learners. Because as we know, the media, the press, administrators are all focused on retention issues. People drop out. Well, we want them dropping in. We want you to use this adding tech variety so much, so thoughtfully, that the students aren't dropping out, they're dropping in. They're adding to, they're asking for more. The goal actually is not enough, just enough. The goal is beyond. We don't want minimum standards. We want ceiling. And so in this book, we're pushing ahead. We're striving to have you create an environment, and it's all about learning environments, you see. The book is designed, and I'll talk about my Education 2020 model or framework in a minute here. The book is really designed to help you create the environments that engage the learners, that want to come back for more, that are not just completing the minimum standards, that are not doing the syllabus and what it says. They're saying, this is too easy. I can do more, and I will do more. And I'm going to give you some examples of my students who have come to me and said exactly that. As Sharonika just said, I won a President Award for teaching, and yet I probably didn't deserve it. My students are saying to me, it's too easy. Let me do more. This framework is going to have the capability for you to have some confidence in your identity as an instructor, an online instructor who has students excelling at the highest levels of what they think, not you think, what they think they're capable of doing. And actually, they're able to do beyond that. And so now we'll engage. We'll take a look at the model, tech variety. We'll also have a bonus section where we look at the R2D2 model, read, reflect, display, and do. So actually, at the end of this webinar, you will have two frameworks, two models that you can kind of rely on, hold in the background as you create the learning environments. You'll have two models that you'll say, does it really fit in there? Does this idea make sense within that? Addressing the diverse learners that you have, addressing the needs that they're coming in with. You have the capabilities now. There is no doubt. The web has so many possibilities. What these frameworks do is they provide that sense of constraint on you, because you can be as creative as you want to be online. You know, we can go great guns and we can go on and on. I could be talking for 5 to 10 hours on this topic, but I'm going to just give you a few nuggets along the way, because that's all you will need. And to see the change that's happening and to have that experience will springboard additional ones, will offer you opportunities to share what you have succeeded in with your colleagues, in your department, and beyond, to other universities, potentially at conferences, at your own webinars that you might be doing as a result of this. My goal is for you to take a couple of ideas and to refine them. They may not work right away, but you can refine them, retune them a little bit, change them. You don't have to use exactly what I talk about. You know, there's nothing sacred about any of the ideas that I'm going to present. What's important is that you think about what you're attempting to do, your goals, your objectives, their expectations, their commitments, and You rouse minds to life by having these springboards to learning, these opportunities to engage. You see, we are in the 21st century, and this 21st century is the learning century. If they're not engaged in the learning, they are not living in this century. They're living in the last century. This is the century where the students participate, they contribute, they take ownership, they have autonomy, and you are a guide. You are no more than an assister of learning. You assist in the learning process. And when you do it in a caring and compassionate way, as well as a thoughtful, engaging, and provoking way, you'll have the learning taking place in your environment you never anticipated. You never thought that they would do. You hadn't written it in your syllabus, but it's going to happen. You're going to have activities that astound you. You will have people walking in asking you advice. You'll have some sense of self-worth and identity as an instructor, and you'll have newfound respect for other instructors who have been doing this for the last couple of decades. And you'll be stumbling upon success. And as you stumble upon those successes, I want you to blog post on them. I want you to tell others about it. I want you to share. And I want you to reflect at night what worked, what didn't work, and send me an email. So at the end of this talk will be my email. My slides are at trainingshare.com for this entire talk. My publications are at publicationshare.com. Because if you're not sharing what you're doing disservice for all the other instructors all around the world who want to learn from you now that you are starting to engage them in unusual and important and interactive, engaging ways. This is the goal. This is possible. You have the chance to take forth a new paradigm. I'm calling Education 2020. That the tech variety model is just one thing that fits within it. The R2D2 model is just one framework that fits within it. There's much more that you can do. You can use other people's frameworks. It doesn't matter to me. But think about the environments that you're creating for learning. Send me a note as you do. Let me know what happens. I thank you for inviting me in today. I'm going to now share some ideas with all of you. Let me see if this is possible to share my screen. And there we have it. Sharonika, can you see my slides now?
Yes, maybe you can. Yeah, clear.
Is anything blocking anything? It's all okay so far?
Fine.
So I'm going to stop sharing because I've got polling questions. I'm going to ask, have you ever been to North America? Have you ever been to Indiana University? And have you ever heard me speak before? So I'm going to call up some polling questions for all of you. And we're going to go to the first poll. I'm going to launch this poll. And those three, have you ever been to North America? Have you ever been to Bloomington, Indiana or Indiana University? And those are the first two polls that are up here. And the third poll underneath it, have you ever seen me speak before? So go ahead and fill those in. You can type your answers in. 11 people have taken the survey so far. 12 people, 13 people, 22% of you. Okay. One person has been to North America many times. Only one person. 14 people want to go. I'll give you another seconds before I reveal the results so far. 20 people have taken the poll. I'll wait till we get a couple more people. And then I will, we're up to almost 30. Can we get to 30? Okay, one more. All right, good. The results, I will share the results now. Most of you want to go, but haven't been. And at Bloomington, no, you haven't visited my campus, and you have one person, two people have heard me once. Okay, good. All right, I'll stop sharing the results now and go back to sharing my slides. Okay. Can you see those, Sharonika?
Yep, yep.
So Confucius said for a long time that people need to read books. And so I read a lot of books. I sat and talked to Confucius. I visited him in Taiwan at the Confucius Center there. And when Confucius was alive, people respected their teachers and they read a lot. And it was very didactic. Teaching and learning was telling the students what they should know, from the expert to the novice. What technology does is it enables students not only to read books, but to read digital books, and not only to listen to teachers, but to contribute to the learning process. Now, I'm developing a new model I'm calling Education 2020. I'm supposed to be done with that book, but I'm not. But I'm going to tell you about the model first. I'm going to tell you a secret, and you have to keep it a secret. It's all a secret. Keep it secret. Keep it secret. Keep it secret, because I haven't published the book. Education 2020 talks about how learning is changing, whether it's the young men in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi teaching each other how to use computers, or the people in the United States on the right. We're sharing what we're learning. We're no longer learning by ourselves, but we're learning in groups and in teams using technologies that enable us to work in teams. And teachers today are curators, like in a museum, finding the best contents. We are counselors for our students. We're giving them gentle nudges along the way. We are orchestra conductors, weaving the symphonies of our classroom, of all the open educational resources we can find and put together. And then we are a concierge in a hotel, providing students with maps, routes of their progress in the contents that we've designed. What's the best path for them that we can design? So we have many roles as instructors. We're a coach, we're a chemist. I know we have a chemistry teacher, we're a consultant, all start with the letter C. We're a cultivator of learning. We're a caregiver. So that's one of those are 20 different ways to think about the instructor. We also have to think about the instruction. What are we doing within our classes? David Merrill, the most famous instructional designer in the world, says we need to apply our knowledge. We need to demonstrate next steps. We need to activate prior knowledge in our brains. We need to integrate all the teaching through tasks and problems, problem-based learning, project-based learning. He has his first principles of instruction. I have the last principles of instruction. I have 20 of them. The principle of flexibility, giving students a flexible agenda, extra dates to turn in their assignments, giving them choice and options, letting them choose any 4 tasks from 10 possibilities. The first time I taught an online class, I said, you have to all do 4 things. And my students hated me. Then I taught it the next semester. I said, here are 10 ideas. You have to pick 4 things. Any of these 10 ideas, pick 4 to do. They love me. Students like to have choices, okay? Those are 2 of the principles. There are 20 principles in my learning activation system template. I don't have time in this talk to go through them all. This is not a talk about those 2 models. I'm just putting a front precursor on this talk. There's the principle of organization. And this talk is an example of being organized. I didn't realize Sharonika changed the time. I thought it was 1 hour from now. Actually, she didn't change the time. Somebody changed our clocks and put our clocks back 1 hour last week, and it didn't get into the Zoom system. So the time I had was 11:30 at night, not 10:30 at night. So you have to be organized. I was organized. I was ready 1 hour and a half early. I was sitting here way early, 1 hour and 15, 20 minutes early. So no problem. You have to give choice and options. You have to give support and feedback. You have to make it convenient for your students. You'll have to use expanded resources, open educational resources, podcasts and webcasts and digital books. There's all sorts of principles of instruction that wrap together to create meaningful instruction. And then we have to share what we've done. I'm going to have another couple of polls come up here. Before COVID, did you ever teach in a blended course or a fully online course? Before COVID, did you ever teach fully online? Have you ever reflected on your teaching philosophy since COVID, since the pandemic? And have you been to an e-learning conference, institute, or summit? I'm going to stop right now again. I'm going to call up the second poll, of which we have set up for you. I'm going to launch it. And again, you can take the second poll and answer those 4 questions. Have you ever taught a blended course combining face-to-face and online? Have you ever taught a fully online class? Have you reflected on your teaching strategies? And have you ever been to an e-learning institute or conference? You can fill those in. Do you see them, Sharonika?
No, I think it will take, okay, now they are weaving, yeah. Now
They're there now for you?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a slight delay then.
Yeah, now it's started.
Okay. Okay, I see this started. We've got 1 person out of 58, 2 people, 4 people. $17 people. Okay, a lot of you have taught blended. Interesting. Not as many fully online. But you're thinking about your pedagogy, you're thinking about your philosophy, and you've taken learning institutes and summits. So we get a couple more people, we have 33. We get 34, 35, 37. Can we get to 40 people? Come on, 3 more, 1 more. Okay, 38, 39, and 40. Okay, I'm going to end the poll at 41. I'm going to share the results with all of you. 27% said they've taught blended many times, and another 44% a couple of times. So you've taught blended courses, so that's not going to be hard for you to think about. In terms of fully online classes, not as many. Only 5 people have taught a couple of fully online. Some are willing to try. A lot, no. Many have technology enhanced courses. Really good, okay. And then reflected on your teaching philosophy. A lot of you have. A lot of you are reflecting on it. Maybe Sharonika is influencing you to think about your philosophy. Maybe not. I don't know. Get her new book and think about it. And then have you ever attended an institute? We have 24% many times, 41% once or twice. So many, many people have. Nobody said they're not going to. So that's a good sign. Number 4 is a good sign. So I will end this, stop sharing that, and put that away. And I'll go back to sharing my slides again and see if we can call those back up. Okay. So I'll go to part 1. In this Tech Variety book, I go through 10 principles of motivation. The 10 principles are listed there, from tone and climate to yielding products. They spell tech variety. Any one of those is the most important. You can make the case that variety is the most important, or relevance is the most important, or tone and climate is the most important, or feedback is the most important. Each one of those is the most important. All you have to do is pick 3, 4, or 5 of those and structure them in your course, and you will have success. You don't have to do all 10. You can do all 10 if you want, but you have to start somewhere, and start by giving students maybe feedback, maybe having relevant assignments. Anyways, you'll have to decide what it is that you do. I'm going to go through some examples now with all of you. And you can still see my slides, okay, Sharonika? No black line or anything like that. Sometimes
Very
there's a
clear,
black.
very clear.
Okay, okay, great. So in the book, there's a table that lists the degree of time, risk, and cost. You want to find low risk, low cost, low time. It's in chapter 13 or 14 as well as chapter 1. I take that back. It's in chapter 15, I misspoke, and chapter 1. We have all the ideas in the beginning and ending, as well as how to train teachers in chapter 14. So if you want to help training of teachers, you might want to focus on that. So we have that set up as a guide to use the book and to think about. Maybe open up a page, any page, and read the activity for that page and how difficult it is and what the purpose is, what the skills are, what the objectives are, and the variations. There's how to make it, how to try it differently. So really, there's not 100 ideas in this book. There are 200 ideas because there's a variation on every idea, okay? And if you do get my other book with 100 ideas, that also is wrong. It actually doesn't have 100, it has 200 as well. And so there's a total of 400 between the two books, okay? If you can't find something to use at 400 different ideas, then maybe you don't like my writing and you need to find a new author. Here's some examples of the TEC variety model. Normally in my talks this summer that I've been giving it out, I start with music. I start with virtual choirs as a way to get students to relax and reflect and not be so nervous. And so there's a lot of these virtual choirs out there that you can play and you can find online, whether it's from Singapore or from China or from the US or from Sri Lanka, you might have a go at it. Not only can you find them, but one of my colleagues in New Jersey had her students create a virtual choir. These are her students. I presented to them last Friday, 3 or 4 days ago, 5 days ago. I presented to New Jersey. And the teacher there in the top, Dr. Hee-Jung An, had her students playing musical instruments together over Zoom as an ice-breaking kind of activity, okay? And you can play it. When you download the slides, the links are there for you to play the slides. So you can play the YouTube video. So you can, these are set up as well as this one. You can download the slides and click on the link and play every one of these. So you can use these in your classes, okay? So tone and climate, safe tone, safe and belonging, a sense of caring and belongingness. One way to have a sense of belongingness is have breakout rooms in Zoom and have students introduce each other in Zoom breakout rooms, assigning them to talk about what their expectations are, what their interests are, what their commitments are, what do they want to get out of the course, what are they planning to do in the course. In the breakout rooms, you can do that. I hadn't used the breakout rooms in Zoom until this summer, and I'm loving it. I'm having fun using breakout rooms. But you can do other things. There are other ways to post expectations. You can use a wiki. You could have a blog post. You could use Padlet. Padlet's little sticky notes on a wall. You take off the stickies and you place them on the wall. And so Padlet is a free tool that lets you put sticky notes up online. You can go to this talk that was given in New Hampshire last month, 2 months ago, I take that back, that listed all the non-boring ways to use Zoom, including breakout groups, how to use breakout groups to be engaging, active, and collaborative. So this is a 16-minute video where they go through about 40 different ideas or ways to use the breakout rooms really fast. If you watch this video, it's really fast. One way I engage students is I use a tool called Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a free tool that lets you have video discussions. A friend of mine developed Flipgrid, actually, and he now has been bought by Microsoft. Microsoft has made Flipgrid free to the world. The whole world can use this. It's a Microsoft product. It lets you have a short video discussions. So my students who you see there talk and record their comments. Instead of typing their comments, they talk their comments in Flipgrid. It's video, threaded video introductions in my class. Students are introducing each other, or they're talking about articles. Or they might introduce themselves. Some instructors can do instructor course introductions for tone and climate, short instructor introductions. Another tool for tone and climate is Slido. I saw this used in, where was I? In Singapore and in Thailand. Slido is a free tool that lets you vote on questions. So if a student wants to ask a question of me, all the 90 people or 50 people here vote on the questions to ask, and the top rated question gets asked, goes to the top. It's a good way to have question and answer with a guest expert. It's a good tool for a conference keynote to have questions come from the audience. There, then everyone posts a question on their mobile device, they enter a code, they type the question, and then you see the questions. You don't see the person's name. You don't know whose question you're voting on, okay? So anyone's question could rise to the top. Another tool sort of like that is Poll Everywhere. In Australia, at Flinders University, and at other universities in Australia, and in the US and other places, they use Poll Everywhere to ask questions while they're video conferencing. And the students at the remote sites, you can see their answers and how it differs. Here's the School of Medicine at Flinders University in Australia. They're asking different questions, and you can see the answers show up on the screen automatically. It's a free tool for Q&A, polling students, taking a survey, and you can see the results show up. There's a tool you might not have heard about that's also free called Vocaro. Vocaro lets you give feedback to students. You record it, you hit the record button, and then you hit the stop button. You hit the start and stop, and at the end, it gives you a URL to share. It gives you the link that they can listen to your voice. So your students, you can send the link, the students click on the link and hear your voice, okay? Vocaro is a free tool, I think unlimited minutes. It might be limited to 10-minute talking, but I think it's actually free. It's at VOCAROO.com. And again, it's number 2, encouragement and feedback. Number 2 is encouragement and feedback online quizzes. So Quizlet is one of the top quizzing tools in the world. It enables anyone to create an online quiz and have students take those quizzes. You can share those quiz questions when you're done. With other people, you can share them. And so that Quizlet tool is used in all fields: pharmacy, occupational therapy, mathematics, chemistry, philosophy, you name it. There are question banks in Quizlet. Encouragement or feedback, also the Khan Academy. The person there on the right, his name is Salman Khan. He developed the Khan Academy to train young students, math, geometry, algebra, English, finance, physics. Almost everything is free at the Khan Academy. Bill Gates from Microsoft gave him a lot of money to create. So young kids in India in particular are using Khan Academy videos where they lack a school or teachers. They're using Khan Academy to maybe get them some training that they don't have access to, like a physics instructor or something else. And again, they can track what questions the students get wrong, so they can address the problems. They can ameliorate the problems. Encouragement and feedback can also happen in tutorials. There are a lot of tutorial tools. And in the Tech Variety book, I have, books are falling next to me. In the book, there's a whole section on these tutorial tools, and you can find them at the end of the book. We have all the web links are here. And so if you download this chapter, well, it's after chapter 15, it'd be chapter 16. It's called the web links chapter. You can download them and click on them. So you can get these tutorials on that. You put the headset on. So I put my headset, I can put them on, you put them in my ears, and then I just talk my students through what I see. And I haven't cut my hair since COVID, so it's been 8 months. It's getting kind of long. I've been running every day since COVID, 244 days in a row, something like that. And I have not been to my office since COVID, on March 11th. So I'm on sabbatical now, so it's okay. So you can wear them and talk your students through a new technology. So if you want students to use a new technology, you can create a tutorial or a video demonstration using free tools like Jing, GoView, Screener, all the ones listed there. Number 3 is curiosity. You want your students to be curious about something. So if I'm talking about internet access, I might have students read the news about internet access and read about this young girl in Malaysia, in Sabah, who lacked internet access and walked into a tree. Only way she could get internet was to live in a tree where they had adequate internet access. And lo and behold, she created a video that went viral. She was studying for her college entrance exams from a tree. So I often use the news as a way to get students excited, get them excited about the content, okay? And so that's something that you might do as well. Now, she got her service provider to provide internet for the whole region, whole city, because of sitting in a tree for a few days. She got awareness happening, okay? You can have other news. This is her, by the way. And that's her sending out her exam questions in the mail. Other things, if you teach fitness, you might show this gentleman on the right-hand side who's from India. He's 104 years old, still running marathons. You can get a student excited about fitness. He retired from marathon running at age 101, came out of retirement last year. So you could talk about the woman on the left who ran the first woman to run the Boston Marathon 50 years ago. She ran it again last year, 50 years later. You can get students excited about running when they're 100 years old. That woman is the fastest 100-year-old person running the 100-meter dash. Okay, and there's a video. You can download it and click on the video. I've got the video to prove it, okay? But there's some fascinating people to teach about nutrition and health and fitness, which is a very important topic in COVID. One of the most downloaded and watched online learning classes during COVID is health and fitness. Many people are taking MOOCs, massive open online classes on fitness, on health, on meditation, relaxation, stress management. Another thing you can do with your students is what we in the US call scavenger hunts. Have students finding information. You set up a set of questions and students have to locate it. And the first one that finds all the items maybe gets some bonus points. So you make a competition around something as a little finding web resources that maybe they'll use later on in the semester, in the class. The first week, you're just getting familiar with some of the websites. You might also have students, number 4, some variety. You might have your students create animations using a free tool called Animaker. Animaker lets you have props and characters and images and backgrounds and transitions. My students won an award on Friday for an Animaker video that she created on culture. She's from Turkey, on the Turkish culture. She won $7,500 USD, a scholarship, from one video that she made, 3 minutes long, using Animaker. And it's a pretty simple tool to use. She's very creative. But I have my students doing these kind of fun, novel things in the class. They get excited about creating these scenes and characters and videos and documentaries and whatnot. Some of my students create quiz shows. There's a quiz show in the US that people like called Jeopardy! It's created by a guy from Canada who recently passed away at 80 years old last week. But a very famous show called Jeopardy! And there's a free tool called Jeopardy Rocks. And my students create quizzes in Jeopardy Rocks and quiz each other. So it's an online review of the content. They create reviews of the content, or I create reviews of the content. Another way to create randomness, and I don't have my dice with me, is to flip a coin or roll the dice in random.org. Random.org will randomize who's going to present that day. If your students are presenting final projects, the randomizer will pick who goes first, second, or third, so the students don't think you've done it. The computer selects. I have my computer select my agenda when I present. What items on my agenda am I going to go through first, second, third, fourth? So random.org lets you teach a class differently, so you're not the same boring person every day. It's a little different using random.org. I'm teaching a class now in reverse, from the last week back to the first section, from the last module back to the first module. Because after so many years, I was getting pretty boring. I was pretty stale. In teaching in reverse, that got really exciting. I got excited. It got kind of fun to do. So you got to try it out every once in a while. Another way to try something new is use a tool called Wheel Decide. WheelDecide.com lets you pick, it lets the computer pick what item you're going to talk about first, second, third. You spin the wheel and up what comes up is what you talk about. It creates variety. It's a free tool as well. Most of these things I'm showing you today are free, or they might be freemium, where part it's free and part extra stuff you pay for. Another free tool that just got a load of money to create more, a person in Norway, from the fjords of Norway. He talks like him and his brother Sven from the fjords of Norway. If you heard people from Norway and Sweden, they kind of talk like that. In Finland, I've been to all those countries, in Iceland. But this guy in Norway built Kahoot. Kahoot is a really nice tool. It lets you kind of do quizzes after you do some training. You can have some competitions, and everybody has a name, and then the faster they respond, the more points they get the item right, and then fast, they get the most points. And the students get really excited, and they want to have their picture under the computer screen if they win. So try Kahoot out. It's a simple tool to have multiple choice questions and true and false and other things for just review. It's a review tool. Another free tool that I'm using lately is futureme.org. You write a letter to yourself in the future, and the letter will get sent to you. You can 1 month from now or 6 months from now. It sends me an email. Kurt, have you finished that book project yet? I'm writing to myself, prompting myself, and I read my email. No, I haven't finished that book project yet. Oh no. So I have my students at the start of the semester write an email to themselves about what they're going to do by the end of the semester. And then the email comes up to remind them, okay? So it's a little goal setting tool. Number 5 gets at autonomy and choice. Having students get choices in life is important, as I said earlier. So I have my students pick a MOOC to take, a massive open online class, and to write a review or reflection on it as their midterm assignment. If they pass the MOOC, it could be their final assignment. So I have them take MOOCs on learning English or on coding or whatever content there are. So in effect, they're learning from me, and they're learning from the second course, an extra course, a supplemental course. They're learning twice as much as what they normally would learn. It might be in fitness course, like at the bottom there. There's many fitness courses, as I said, many English courses today. A ton of English, computer programming, security, leadership training, mathematics, you name it, you will find it online. Forests, the forests of Madagascar, you name it, you'll find it online. I also have students track the life of an expert or the scientists. They go to biography.com to learn about the person and write a review of that person. They might look at famous women in science or astronauts who are women. There's websites for famous female females in society, trying to get role models for young girls. One of my students said to me, she was from Uzbekistan, she said, Dr. Bonk, your assignments are too easy. Let me make it harder. I want to make them harder. I don't want to give you a glossary with definitions. I want to create a multimedia glossary. If I was to click on any link there, you would see her multimedia glossary. You would see the terms, the videos she found that goes with the terms, the books, the conferences, all sorts of things. In addition to the words, you might have pictures of the words. So when I teach psychology, we teach about behavioral psychology and positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. They find videos about negative reinforcement. They find pictures. They find books. So they create multimedia glossaries. I had many students do that. Also, sometimes my students say, why don't we flip the classroom? Why don't you record the lecture so that when you come to class, we can already have watched the lectures and then have cases or scenarios or problems that we solve. And so today, flipping the classroom is really popular. It's especially popular in China, especially popular in Korea. I have about 5 articles published on flipped classroom in China and Korea, because right now, China, Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, they're going through dramatic changes from a didactic approach to teaching to try and make more active and engaging learning. They're trying to adopt more of a smart schools kind of approach to their classes, and they're flipping the classrooms. And I have a whole, Sharonica, I have a whole presentation on flipped classroom and how to do it. Another thing that some people are doing is jigsawing. Jigsawing so that you might have a home group and an expert group, and students break out into an expert group. And so, for instance, if you're number 1 in the group, you might read chapter 1. If you're number 2 in the group, you might read chapter 2. If you're number 3 in the group, you read chapter 3. Number 4 reads chapter 4. Number 5 reads chapter 5. I have all the number 1s go to Zoom meeting rooms and they talk about chapter 1. All the number 2s talk about chapter 2 in the second meeting room, breakout room. All the chapters, and then they come back to their base group, their home group, and share what they learned in the expert group. So it's called jigs. It's getting students to interact and become experts at something. Number 6 gets at relevance or meaningfulness. So the gentleman in the upper left there, his name is Dr. Mike Melenda. He retired from my university. He's a very famous guy. He has many books. Sharonica might have read his books, maybe. So Dr. Melenda created the class that I teach 40 years ago. And I invited him into my class many times to explain why the class exists. And I bring people into my class from Thailand talking about when they took the class and why it was valuable to them. Or someone might come back to my class from the University of Georgia, or from Dr. Paul Kim there in the middle on top from Stanford University. Very famous guy. I bring lots of famous people into my class. Now, person who is on the left there, next to the woman in the blonde hair, he developed Flipgrid. He's a very famous guy. He almost became my student, but he got his degree at the University of Minnesota, and he developed Flipgrid. And he has made a lot of money. He no longer is a professor. He doesn't need to be. He works for Microsoft now and builds more tools. But take a look at Flipgrid. That gentleman there created Plato system. The Plato system led to computer networks, social media, chat, discussion forums back in the 1970s and 1980s at the University of Illinois. They were developing what's called the Plato project. So I brought him into my class to talk about the Plato project last January, as you can see. I brought in my friend Jima Nagaya from Nigeria, who took over 700 MOOCs, talking about, and Sharonica met him in Scotland last year at a conference with me. We had dinner with him, in fact. So I bring people in from all around the world using Zoom. I get people excited. Also relevance, Mark Braun teaches medical students, physiology, anatomy, and he does cases. He creates cases of problems, like a man with chest pains, a woman with a cough, someone with a lump, and whatever. In these cases, they have to solve. They get blood pressure, heart rate, temperature. So students take these cases, and each case takes them 7 hours to create, and they're all free. Case-based learning online. In 1997, really in 1996, I started doing case-based learning online, having teachers, pre-service teachers, go into schools and write down problems on the internet. We were using a tool called conferencing on the web, COW. They'd write a case problem, post the case problem, and then the other students would have to solve the problem using concepts from the book. We had students from Finland, from the UK, from Peru, from Korea, all working together to solve problems around the world. I've also had my students write wiki books. There's not only Wikipedia today, there's Wiki Species, Wiki News, Wiki Quote, there's also Wiki Books. Wiki Books is a website for people to create books with other people. So I had my students create a book on learning theories. I had my students create a book on emerging technologies with students from China, from Beijing Normal University, students from Taiwan, students from Malaysia, the Open U of Malaysia, students from Indiana, all work together. Now here you have people who are working on Wikipedia. They edit Wikipedia pages, and students find out what it's like to be an expert. So editing, making it meaningful. Making it meaningful by analyzing raw data. If you teach business courses, there's lots of raw data online, business financials. If you teach computer science, there's lots of free code with problems in the code, and students have to figure out what the problem is in the code. If you teach education, there's lots of cases, as I said, that students can use. The web is full of data. It's full of computer data, raw data, that your students can solve problems, like the medical teacher with anatomy and physiology courses. There's also team management tools like Trello. Trello is a free tool that has these cards that each team puts the cards and organizes their work as they progress as a team. And underneath each card are links and resources. It's worth checking out. Click on the link and watch the teams organize their teamwork. You can monitor the teamwork as the instructor, as the teacher, as the students create a brochure, or they create some kind of final project. They track it in Trello. And again, a class newsletter, for instance. There's a lot of tools out there that are like Google Documents. Sharonika, do people in Sri Lanka use Google Documents?
Yeah, we use it.
Okay, I hate Google Documents. Just hate Google Documents. No, I'm just kidding. But there are easier tools to use than Google Documents. Google Documents, Google didn't build that tool. They bought a company called Rightly, and they renamed it Google Documents. Okay, it's a nice tool. It's a free tool. It's a great tool. But there's easier ones like Meeting Words and Now Comment, little sticky notes online, little like wiki-like tools. Students can, in different colors, negotiate their agenda, their papers, and so forth. Sometimes Google Documents, I have a problem, my passwords don't work. You know, I run into that problem once in a while. I'm sure you all run into that problems too. But it's a good tool. So these are just some slides from Meeting Words. Another thing I like to do is have a guest and have my students call quotes from the guest, their own articles, and call them up in the chat window. They might put a quote, they might put an image, they might put a graph, they might put a chart, a figure from that person's research. So if I ask the gentleman there, he's a famous researcher in social media. His name is Ray Junko, very famous guy. I bring him into my class and my students ask him questions. My students bring up his research, his slides. He says, I don't have time to do a presentation, so my students create the presentation for him. Last year, my students used a new tool that's not perfect, but it worked, called Nuclino. Nuclino is a wiki-like tools for teams to have debates and to do role play online. It's worth checking out and trying it once and seeing if you like it. They call it a collective brain or a collaborative wiki. So Nuclino is a free tool where my students at Indiana debated with students at another university, okay? They were using the tool to discuss articles from different points of view. And there's different chapters, different articles. Another website you might take a look at is called Virtually Inspired. Virtually Inspired was created in Philadelphia at Drexel University. My friend Susan Aldridge said, let's find the best websites in the world and make them available at one website. So she created a website called virtuallyinspired.org with simulations in engineering, in science, as you see there, in medicine, as you see there, in healthcare and nursing, as you see there, in pharmacology, as we need a COVID vaccine, as you see there, in a virtual lab, in whatever, all these, in security, computer security, these are all available at virtuallyinspired.org. Free simulations, animations, okay? Gamification of learning, if you will, are at that website. Another thing that is freely available is interactive maps. I like maps. I learn from maps. I like visuals. There's a free tool called ThingLink that lets you put a link on a map. As you click on that active link, you can put the link anywhere. It can link to pictures. It can link to websites. It can link to other maps, events, all sorts of things that you can be linking to. So you might have Vincent van Gogh in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam Museum, and you can be linking to different Van Gogh paintings or different artists like Van Gogh, and so forth, using ThingLink. Or a map of the US and different states in the US and the capitals. You might be linking to what's famous for different states in the US. Or different places in Athens, Greece that you might want to look at in ancient Greece or ancient Rome. Number 8 is engagement. So healthcare simulations and scenarios that students might solve. You might give them a problem with a set of data that they have to go through and solve that data set for the patient. There's a free website from the University of Colorado called PHET. PHET has little simulations or micro worlds in physics, biology, chemistry, earth science and math, and much more. And they might have a simulation on sound and motion, or sound and waves, or heat and thermodynamics. Short little scenarios or episodes. What we used to call, when Sharonika and I were in graduate school, they called these micro worlds. We don't use that term anymore, but she might remember that term, micro worlds. You remember that one? Seymour Papert used that for constructionism, right? You might also engage your students through virtual worlds. Here he's conducting an orchestra, a virtual reality experience in conducting an orchestra, or seeing all the heart works, a virtual heart with, a heart rate, for instance. And you can download these videos again and listen and wear your AR, VR glasses. The newest one in this talk I found last month was the British Museum has a new website for interactive timelines. You can go back in timeline in Africa, along that timeline in America, in Asia, in Europe, in Oceania. As you go back in time, different artifacts pop up and they're explained. Really cool. It's something that I actually have thought about developing myself. I thought, wouldn't it be great if museums had this, like a ladder that you go back in time, in this ladder, and you climb up the ladder and up, you go 100 years, 200 years up and see different people, you meet different people and different artifacts and cultures of the world. Well, they've got it in the British Museum now. There are tools where your students can create free timelines. X timeline, timeline glider, timeline curator, these things are free. They let students create timelines, or you can use existing timelines. And so you might be teaching a law class, explaining the laws, Right now, we have a problem in the US with laws. We have one president who didn't win the election who thought he won. Well, anyways, we have a legal issues going on right now. It'll be overcome. There'll be no problems. Number 8 also gets at augmented reality. A really cool tool that I saw last year was where a teacher puts the glasses on. I didn't bring my augmented reality glasses, but I brought some other ones with me. So you put these augmented reality glasses on and you look over the top of the students' heads. As you look over the top of their heads, you see them, you see what problems they got right and what problems they got wrong, so you can go talk to the students and help the ones who are having problems. These augmented reality glasses let you directly support your students. So this is coming. This is a new way to teach, okay? Number 9 is challenge or tension, controversy. My friend Paul Kim at Stanford has built a tool called SMILE. SMILE, Stanford Mobile Inquiry Learning Environments. My son went with him to Tanzania and to Argentina. Paul has been to India, Rwanda, Honduras, Mexico, Brazil. He's been around the world with SMILE. He's now got SMILE Up, where the computer can rate the students' questions on a scale of 1 to 5, like Bloom's taxonomy. So the students can type in questions on their mobile and ask each other difficult questions, or then the computer can evaluate those questions. The computer can also generate the questions. So if you go to the website I have there, or go to the SMILE project, you can download it and use it in your classrooms for free. You can have AI. It's an artificially intelligent-based tool that rates millions of questions on a scale of 1 to 5, from factual questions to evaluation questions. Not 6 levels like Bloom's taxonomy, 5 levels. Also, I mentioned Padlet. Padlet's a tool for virtual sharing walls. So you can have your little sticky notes on a wall discussing topics. So teachers might have competitions. Teachers might have brainstorming sessions. And the students have to answer those questions on the wall, on the collaboration wall. And I'm running out of time. So I'll get to number 10, and I'll briefly mention my R2D2 model. I won't go too deep into it. But also, there's a new tool called Pinterest, which is becoming really popular. My students are using it to post databases of articles that we're reading, images of articles we're reading. They use Facebook, too, to create a Facebook class website. We're using social media in our classes. Data students, articles in the news that they're reading. Today's forestry articles, because I spoke to the forestry people a couple of weeks ago in Vancouver. Another tool very popular is mind mapping, concept mapping. And concept mapping is all of a sudden become really popular online. And I was complaining there aren't tools for concept mapping on the web. But now there's CMAP, So I was talking about the concept mapping and mind mapping. What my students are doing is using concept maps to summarize discussion online. They're using mind maps to summarize discussion or summarize what they've read. So number 10 gets at yielding products. You know, having a product discussion, yielding database, do a brochure. There's a free tool called Canva. Canva lets students create professional looking infographics or brochures or professional looking infographics. And that's one of my students' infographics. And that's as a final project oftentimes. And one thing I want to mention learning. In the US, it's on Saturdays. In Sri Lanka, it would be on Sundays. But you should check out the website, Silver Lining for Learning. We've had 35 shows so far all around the world. This week we have Turkey. The next week we have Puerto Rico. We have Antarctica, all sorts of things to look at new models of learning. So some of my students create podcasts, webcasts, documentaries. My other model is called R2D2. But before we go to that, let me stop for a second and call up the next poll, the third poll. And I will launch this poll. And the question is, are any light bulbs going off in your head? Are you learning anything? Are you learning anything? And which motivational principle to you do you like? What motivational principle do you think is the most important? So, do you see that? There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 41. Okay, I'm going to end this polling now. And I'm going to share the results. And many ideas. People are getting a lot of ideas, okay? One person said their brain's not working today, but almost everybody's brain's working. Most important
Yeah.
is encouragement or feedback, and then curiosity. Those two chapters, interactivity, engagement, also important. But the number one was encouragement and feedback. That is the most important thing from many people's point of view. And it's something that's hard because students want feedback on everything they do. And it's hard to give feedback to everything, to every student on everything they do. So, okay, now I've got my TEC variety model. It's a Star Wars model. So I have my lightsaber with me here. Actually, I have two lightsabers with me. I give my students the cheap one and I get the real one. And we have fights and battles in class with these. So R2D2, read, reflect, display, and do. It's a problem-solving wheel. Some people see that on there and they think it's a learning style model. I'll call it a problem-solving wheel or thinking about the diversity of our students. It's a way to think about diverse learners that you have coming into your classrooms, okay? So I'll put down my lightsaber so I don't hurt anybody. And this one I'll put over here so I don't hurt anybody. My poor fish almost got killed along the way, but he's back over here. So, you know, when you get into Star Wars mode, you gotta wear your goofy glasses and think about Star Wars, Star Wars. So my publisher, I wanted to call this the R2D2 book, and he didn't like that name, so he changed it to Empowering Online Learning. And I don't like that publisher anymore, so I use a different one now. My colleague in the picture there, her name is Dr. Kao Zhang, and we wrote this book together a long time ago in 2006 or 8, 2008 maybe it came out, yeah. And, you know, I don't know if you can hear the audio, so maybe not. So let me see if I can stop this once. And I'm going to start this sharing again and click on the computer sound so you can hear the sound. And did you hear that sound? It's kind of loud. Okay. So reading, reflecting, displaying, and doing. Auditory learners, reflective learners, visual learners, hands-on learners. In Star Trek, the guy there in the bottom there used to wear the visor over his eyes. His name is Geordi in the Star Trek film. He would wear these kind of glasses like that. And he has a show for young kids in the United States called Reading Rainbow. And number one is about reading. Reading, spoken words, written expressions, auditory learning, verbal learning.
Computer, this is Captain Picard. Return all command functions to the stations.
And so reading, whether it's a iPad or whether you're reading off a tablet computer or your laptop, or you might be listening. You might be listening to a podcast in your ears. You might listen to the Voices of Forestry podcast, or a podcast for preventive medicine, or how to deal with COVID pandemic. Podcasts are very popular today. At least they are in the United States. Are they popular in Sri Lanka as well? Do people listen to podcasts, Sharon?
Not much, but we do know. I mean, we do, but not very much, I believe.
Not very much. Okay. We should probably put that in a polling question. In the chat window, if you like podcasts, write down what the name of your favorite podcast is in the chat window. I'm curious to see what you say. Blogs. If you read a blog that you like every week, why don't you put the name of the blog that you like in the chat window so people can read what blogs you read. Reading.
I think we
Reflect,
are, the connection
we
is
have a blog in
the connection is not
the
very
connection
good.
is slow a little bit.
Yeah, it's anyway, just continue. It's getting sometimes not very clear. It's okay, just continue.
Twitter is also being used in classes, team building kind of activities, or following an expert in Twitter. And so we might use Twitter in different ways for different purposes. It's all about text. So here's a Twitter feed for forestry. Here's one in occupational therapy. There's also free journals, open access journals. There's a lot of free and open access journals in my field, educational technology. There's over 100 free journals that you can get access to. Here are a couple of journals in the forestry or environmental science areas that are free. There's a directory of open access journals to find supplemental resources. I try not to buy anything. I want it all free. So I try and find as many free articles, free journals as possible.
I don't trust you, Q.
It's at reflective learners, observational learners, viewing, watching. So we might have reflections on big questions, big issue questions, or BQO, big questions online. There's actually a website called BQO, Big Questions Online. And I have my students sign up to ask the big questions. Or I have my students interpret infographics. And they might analyze an infographic out there, what the data means, what the data indicates. They're going to interpret, maybe it's interactive data. There's also something called a dialogue, which is a video dialogue, video with, or a dialogue with the video, discussion of a video. Online role play, having students take on a role or a personality role and engage in some kind of a debate about a topic, a controversial topic.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Having students look at a timeline, a flow chart, a diagram. So there are free pictures in the medical field in Creative Commons. Medical graphics, royalty-free, are in Creative Commons. Creative Commons is a website that has free content that anyone can use. It assigns the rights to anyone, so you don't have to worry about the copyright issues. That's something, and anyhow, take a look at that. There also are free videos online from the BBC, from CNN, from TED Talks, TED Ed, that can anchor the instruction in a macro context. You can watch a short video and they have a series of questions wrapped around the video, or the animation. So video and animation online, get at part 3. The World Mapper tool is a tool that lets you see data in a world map. So the bigger the country, the more data there is. So it might be looking at things like the average life expectancy by country. And then you would see the ones that are bigger or fatter would be places where people live longer. They might look at cancer and cancer rates, or they might look at literacy or public school spending on a world map. The World Mapper tool is a pretty cool tool, and it's free. Also, there are these word clouds where you can visualize the words that are used. There are free tools out there that visualize the words that I use in my articles or in my syllabi, called Word Sift, Word It Out. Those are word cloud kinds of tools. And then there are collaborative annotation tools for groups to discuss articles, where you have the article on the left-hand side and you have the discussion showing up in the right-hand side. So the University of Minnesota lets you discuss videos that way. It lets students discuss videos with a track that lets the comments on the right-hand side. The fourth one gets at, the final one gets at role play, games, simulation, dance. So you might have students post their best work in a gallery. So the final, number 4, is have them do projects and post their work in a project or a podcast show or a demonstration video of some kind, or have students do a video that summarizes their learning. So that was a quick kind of ending. I'm going to go to the final poll in here, and I'm going to stop sharing, and let me see if I can find the polls. Find number 4 in here, and I'm going to launch this poll. This poll asked, how many ideas did you get from this talk? And which model do you like better, Tech Variety or R2D2? And are you excited to try anything out that you've heard today? What are you most concerned about when teaching online? Does all this give you a headache? And as the result of this session, are you going to be a better online instructor? So there's like 6 questions, or at least 5, 6 questions, yeah. See if you can answer some of those questions.
I think they can weave the polls now, but nobody is responding yet. I wonder why. The polls.
Oh, they're shy.
Yeah, it says attend.
Everybody's shy.
Started, yeah.
Now it started. Thank you all for coming in here. I'm just going to collect a few and see. We got 2 people so far, and we'll see if we can get maybe 20 of you to fill these out. We got 3, 4. Okay, we're up to 7. It's a longer one, so it's going to take a little more time. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17. Do I hear 20? 20, 20. We got 20. Can we get to 30? 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. We'll do 4 more. 27, 28, maybe. 29, 31. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now and share the results. Okay, so most people got more than 10. 4 to 5, 3, good. Which one do you like better, Tech Variety or both? Okay. Excited to try anything out? Definitely, definitely, definitely. Okay, good. And what concerns, what are you most concerned about teaching? Engagement issues and access issues, okay? Does this give you a headache? Yes, but gonna try. Let's go another hour, a couple of people. No, we're not going another hour. Just about right. Are you gonna be more confident? Probably, definitely, good. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna do a couple last things before we end here, because I like to end with some fun things. And we just didn't have enough fun, so we'll skip over these. We've just answered those. So the world is open for you now. My book called The World is Open. And whenever I go somewhere, I have everyone hold their arms up in the air like this, going, the world is open. So if everyone on the count of 3 can go, the world is open. And I'll take your picture with my camera. Okay, there we go. Okay, great. Okay, now they're doing this in Taiwan, in Bangkok, in Singapore, in Indiana, in China, all over the world. We're at a jumping off point. So can I have everybody stand up with me, and at the count of 3, jump. All the women, all the ladies, jump with me in the count of 3. Everybody stand up and jump. 1, 2, 3, jump. All 1, 2, 3, jump. All the men, 1, 2, 3, jump. All the men again, 1, 2, 3, jump. Everybody together, 1, 2, 3, jump. One more time. Okay, have a seat. We're at a jumping off point. We're not really sure where we're going, but things are heating up. Things are really heating up. My precious, he says. So Education 2020 is coming in within reach. It's coming within all our reach. We can do better. We can do more. But I'm going to need your help. So I need everybody in the count of 3 to say, I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone.
Do this alone.
1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone.
Do this alone.
1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone.
Do this alone.
Okay, well, thanks for helping me out there. And now hopefully we can exit out and enter into this new future of online teaching and learning.
Let's see what's out there.
That's the end of the show. My notes are at Training Share, all my slides. My papers are at Publication Share. A free book at TEC Variety. My email is also listed. My homepage is listed. You can download my slides and get any of that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now, but maybe you might want to write a couple. I'll answer Q&A. But anyways, I'm going to end with that. I wish you well on those assessments. We're all, the whole world is dealing with that.
Because I think your presentation gave lots of ideas, quite a lot of ideas for everybody. So we can think, we should be able to think creatively what would be relevant for us in our context. And there are so many ideas you have presented, and in your book you said 400 plus ideas, maybe some more. So thank you so much, Kurt, on behalf of the Open University of Sri Lanka. We really, really appreciate you taking time to be with us today and present this very interesting and inspiring webinar for us. I'm sure everybody appreciate that. There are lots of comments appreciating that. So thank you so much. And I will be sharing your slides, 100-odd slides there, by the way, with the participants. So, and all the links will be there. And thank you so much once again.